To stay When you're working with electricity, certain factors increase your risk of injury. To stay safe, use the three-stage electrical safety model. Recognize, evaluate, and then control the hazards. Let's say you have to do work underneath live exposed electric wires. You've already recognized these exposed wires as a hazard. Next, you need to move on to the second stage of the safety model and evaluate the risk. The first thing to evaluate is your proximity to the electric current. In this case, the wires are 15 feet off the ground and your work is at ground level, so your risk is low. But what if you're hired to do additional work at the same site? And this time, the job requires you to work on a series of second-story balconies right next to the wires using long ladders or poles. You're now much closer to the wires, putting you in a high-risk position. And proximity to hazards isn't the only consideration. A second evaluation is carrying metal objects. If you have to work with metal piping or ladders near exposed wires, for example, you're at risk. You might decide that moving a ladder from balcony to balcony, avoiding the exposed wires each time, is too dangerous. The final evaluation you need to make is weighing combinations of hazards. Obviously, the more hazards you face, the greater your risk. For example, if you're working with a damaged tool that also has improper grounding, the likelihood you'll get shocked goes up. Add wet working conditions to the mix, and you're even more at risk. At all stages of the safety model, be on the lookout for any clues that may indicate that a hazard exists. If you're working with a power tool and the ground fault circuit interrupter, or GFCI, keeps tripping, that's your clue that something's wrong. Don't continuously switch the GFCI back on and continue working. Never remove the GFCI because you're tired of it interrupting your work. This is extremely dangerous. Instead, evaluate the situation and decide what action should be taken to control the hazard. Pay attention to sparking and overheating. Both of these are also clues. At any worksite, you need to evaluate the risk presented by the hazards you've identified. Make decisions about the nature of the hazards. That sets you up for the third stage of the safety model, controlling the hazards.